How we doing, everybody? And welcome to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. We're back. It's Wednesday, a good Wednesday, a great Wednesday in the great state of Wisconsin here. Got a little bit of snow last night, little dusting there, not too crazy. It is just, Wisconsin weather right now has got me throwing for a loop. Over the last couple of days here, we've looked at the weather change from 65 degrees down to supposed to be 21 today for a high with a low of 6. And then the overnight is going to be 9 again. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Right? And that's going to jump back up into the 60s this weekend here. So you can't complain too much. We are still in the month of February and we're getting this nice weather going on. But also at the same time, it's like, I can't handle this. I can't handle all these fluctuating temperatures right now. I mean, yesterday I was stuck in a building all day, didn't have to work outside. I was at school all day, and then all of a sudden, now today I'm going to be outside all day long in this 22 or 21 degree weather, if it gets there. If it gets to 21, we know how that goes in Wisconsin. You wait 5 minutes, the weather changes. So definitely something we're going to keep an eye on today here is the weather. But another thing that changes, wait 5 minutes and it'll change too, Wisconsin basketball. We got to talk about that today because last night, another loss on the road for this Badger team in Bloomington against the Indiana Hoosiers. And, well, the fire alarm was the highlight of the night for the Badgers there. So we got to talk about that game against Indiana. We got the Brewers. We got to talk about the Brewers today. We got lots to talk about. I'm going to stick with the Brewers and college basketball today. So right away, I want to look at the Brewers from yesterday there. They did have a matchup with the Angels, did lose 6-4. The Angels out-hit the Brewers in that game 8-7 for this one. Notables for the Brewers, we did see Garrett Mitchell. He DH'd for the Brewers, no hits in this game. Frelick had 2 hits for the Brewers there, 2 for 4, played right field. And Sal Frelick in this game, it's hard to keep him out of the outfield. I know, I understand it that the guy can play very good third base, as we've seen. He plays solid at third, but we watched that play he made out in right field there, that diving catch. I mean, it's hard to keep a guy like that out of the outfield. Plus, he's got an arm on him, too. So, definitely going to be hard for Sal Frelick for anybody to justify me moving him to third base over playing the outfield. Because, man, does that guy got some range. He's got a glove. And, man, does he have an arm. So, Sal Frelick, big game there yesterday in spring. Other than that, Adames for the Brewers did go 1 for 3 on the day there. Started at shortstop, 1 for 3 outing for Adames with an RBI. Did knock in Sal Frelick after he hit a triple there in that, I believe it was early on in this one. Other than that, Tyler Black did play again, first and third base for the Brewers, win 1 for 4. Joey Wiemer, another 0 for in this one. I was excited to see Joey Wiemer. He just got to get going here, get some confidence. The bat looks right again. Just got to get some confidence going for Wiemer. Turang, 1 for 2 day. That was good to see. The big question mark for Turang heading into the spring was consistency at the plate. Can he consistently put bat on ball into the hole, ball on the ground, because the guy's got some speed to be able to beat out some infield hits and such. So great to see Turang, ball on the ground, hit it through a gap there in that right side and was able to get on for the Brewers there. A big RBI single for Turang there. Other than that, Oliver Dunn did have a hit for the Brewers, and Jefferson Cuero had an RBI double for the Brewers. Cuero, catching prospect for the Brewers, slowly on. I watched him the other day there in that game. He threw a dart down to second base and threw a guy out. So Cuero definitely defensively is going to have the tools. It's just going to be how well does this offense transfer into the major league level. And, well, starts here, right? 1 for 2 day, slowly getting his at-bats up and seeing what he can do at the big league level. I know you already have William Contreras, but it's not like it's a bad thing to have 2 catchers that can hit. And Jefferson Cuero might be that guy for this Brewers team. Also, I mean, end of the day, trade bait. He could be trade bait too for you to be able to bring in, say, a pitcher or whatever you're looking for at some point. So definitely good things. Didn't win. I know, sucks. 1-3 to start the spring schedule. But, it's the moving pieces. You're moving pieces in and out of the lineup right now. This isn't your everyday lineup. It's far from an everyday lineup right now. So moving pieces in and out. We're not seeing consistent pitching right now out of some of the mainstay guys that we expect to see here getting later into spring and then into the start of the regular season. So definitely stuff to watch out for there. Jansen Junk did start for the Brewers. 1 earned run, 1 hit in this one. Obi Milner did come in for an inning of work. He did give up 3 hits, 3 runs, and 2 of them were earned in this game here. He did have a strikeout, though. Vieira once again came in. Vieira's that flamethrower from last year, the random guy that we signed midway through. And he had an inning of work there. He had 1 walk and 1 strikeout for him. So a solid outing for Vieira in this one. Hudson then came in for the Brewers. He had an inning of work there, 1 earned run. Other than that, Carlos Rodriguez, another prospect, another promising prospect for the Brewers there. He had an inning of work. He gave up 1 hit and had 1 strikeout in this game here. So definitely good to see. I was excited to see Carlos Rodriguez get into there a little bit there. He's a starting pitching prospect for the Brewers, but getting an inning of work there, getting his feet wet, 1 hit and 1 strikeout in his inning of work, that's solid. That's solid work for Carlos Rodriguez in this one. For the Angels, not much to talk about there. Ward had a hit for him. Chanel had a hit. Trout was held hitless. He did have an RBI sac fly. That was the one that Frelick ran down in the gap there on the diving play. Brandon Drury had nothing there for him. Other than that, not much to talk about there. Soto, third baseman for the Angels, did go 3 for 3 on the day. So if there's any... Oh, and Neto, shortstop, he went 2 for 3. So if there's a silver lining in this game, those are about the only 2 guys to get hits for the Angels in this one. Zach Plesac did start for the Angels. He gave up 2 earned runs on 3 hits in 2 innings of work, 1 strikeout in this game here. Other than that, not much for notables there for the Angels. So Brewers drop game 4 of the spring schedule here, 6-4 to the Angels. The Brewers will be back in action. They will be taking on, and well, this is the matchup we've been waiting for. It's not at American Family Field or Wrigley, but it's going to be at American Family Fields of Phoenix, down there in Phoenix, Arizona. We will see the Chicago Cubs taking on the Milwaukee Brewers down there. This is it. We get to see Craig. We get to see Craig because this game is finally going to be on Bally Sports Wisconsin. So Brewers, Cubs matchup there. Wicks is going to get the start for the Cubs. He's going to take on Zastrinsky for the Brewers, the lefty that started the opener for the Brewers there. Last names. Sometimes these last names for some of these players is just ridiculous. That's a ridiculous last name to try and pronounce there. I mean, it starts with a Z. There you go. It's Trini. We're gonna call him Zass. Zass is gonna be it. The Zass, the lefty Zasser. I don't know. But anyways, he's gonna get the ball for the Brewers in this one. Looking at the matchup there, I mean, you never know. You never know what you're going to get out of Cubs and Brewers in spring training, but I hope the Brewers beat them. I hope the Brewers beat the Cubs every single game out this year and even in the spring. This is where I want to show Craig Counsell we're better. I mean, whatever. I don't care. It's spring right now, right? It's spring. But I expect pretty soon here, we're going to see the likes of Rhys Hoskins. We're going to see the likes of Christian Yelich here pretty soon, I would expect. I mean, we've seen Willie. We got a little bit of William Contreras already. I can only imagine at some point here soon, we're going to get the likes of Christian Yelich into this lineup and Rhys Hoskins. Yelich has got to hit. I mean, come on. You're not that good. You're not. I mean, we're seeing Willie Adames out here day after day as of right now. And, honestly, the guy needs to put the work in. Last season, terrible at the plate. I mean, the home run numbers are still kind of there, but the average is bad. It's terrible. Gosh, awful. These guys need all the work in the world. They're not superstars. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say it. None of these guys are superstars on this Brewers team. You can maybe say that William Contreras is. You can maybe say that William Contreras could get away with not playing as many games in spring. Maybe Rhys Hoskins. I don't know about Rhys Hoskins. We haven't seen a lot of Rhys. But Yelich needs the at-bats in spring, in this spring training. I know it's early in spring yet, and he's going to get in there. But I'm just saying, at some point here, we got to see Yelich getting into this lineup consistently because, I mean, the at bats for Yelich, the consistency at the plate hasn't been there in years, and it's got to start here against. You're going to face some subpar pitching in spring. I get it, but that's when you got to get right. You got to get yourself right, and this is it. This is it for Yelich. Honestly, this Brewers relationship with Christian Yelich, I'm not going to say that I love Christian Yelich. I never have. Never have I ever admitted that I have gotten on the Christian Yelich hype train. I respected it. I loved him when he was in his MVP years for the Brewers, but I have never been the guy who's just said, "Yeah, I love Yelich. I love this guy." The classic everybody when he started to hit the ball. But now it's come to the point where you have a bunch of good prospects and good second year outfield prospects coming into this organization now. You have the likes of Sal Frelick, Garrett Mitchell. Now, Mitchell's not hitting as of late, but we know what Mitchell can do. We've seen it through, last season we only saw him for a short little period, but the guy was hitting the ball during that period. Season coming up for the Brewers, we know the guy can hit. Joey Wiemer, if he gets the bat right, there's your guy. Jackson Churro. You look around the outfield, and where does Yelich fit? If this guy isn't hitting, how long can you just sit there and say, well, we should keep him out there. We should keep him out there because it's Christian Yelich. He'll get right. He'll get right. We're going to hope he gets right. I don't think you can. I don't think it's worth the wait. It's holding a roster spot, right? A lot of people got ticked off with Ryan Braun because Braun was getting older. He wasn't hitting as many bombs. He wasn't doing stuff consistently. This is the same thing. This is the same scenario. Now it's Christian Yelich. Yeah, he might come up and hit he might hit 260. He might. Now, I'm not saying Christian Yelich isn't going to hit 280. I'm not saying he's not going to hit 290. I'm not saying this guy ain't going to come back and be an MVP Christian Yelich again. I'm always going to hope for that, right? We're always in this hopeful period. But that's the problem, is we're always in this hopeful period. I am at the point where I don't care if Christian Yelich starts to slump. If we go through this 20 to 30 game stretch where this guy is slumping, I am not hesitating to put one of these rookies, or I shouldn't say rookies, second-year guys who have barely played the rookie season, so technically it still translates over, into the starting role and benching him. I'm serious when I say that, because you have to be realistic with this Brewers team. If the guy can't hit, you have a lot of prospects. If you aren't going to utilize the talent that you have coming up, then trade them. Ship them out. But don't waste their time. Don't waste their years in the organization by wasting it by putting a guy who can't hit out into the field. I can tell you this. One thing's for darn certain, and that is he's got a terrible arm. That's one thing. That's one thing for darn certain. He's got a terrible arm. He might, and this is in some people's opinions, he might be a Gold Glove outfielder. He might make dazzling plays. Sal Frelick makes dazzling plays. Garrett Mitchell makes dazzling plays. Joey Wiemer makes dazzling plays. Jackson Churro makes dazzling plays. Every one of those guys makes dazzling plays. So you can't give me this BS that this guy makes dazzling plays. I don't care, because I know I have 4 great outfielders sitting behind him defensively. If he can't hit, I don't see a roster spot. I see a roster spot. I don't see consistent playing time. You can't take away playing time from another one of these younger guys who are giving you that spark and give it to a guy who's holding you back. That's my honest opinion on it. I don't think, honestly, I don't think it's going to happen. I expect Christian Yelich to hit solid for the Brewers. I do. I expect him to be a solid bat for this Brewers lineup. But what I'm saying is the Brewers don't have to wait anymore. They don't have to hope that the next game he's finally going to come back. They can afford to give him a day off. They can afford to give him 2 days off. They can afford to bring him in a pinch hitting role until he figures it out, or in a DH spot. Doesn't matter. But you have to work with what's working, and you have a lot of talent. There's a lot of talent in that room now. What happens? That's going to be the question. What happens? What happens if Garrett Mitchell's hitting? What happens if Sal Frelick and Garrett Mitchell are hitting? What happens if Jackson Churro and the 2 others are hitting? Then what do you do? Maybe you move Sal to third. Okay, that opens up a spot in the outfield. What happens if Joey Wiemer's hitting? Say Sal's not. Say Joey Wiemer is. Are you going to move Joey Wiemer to third base too to try to open up this gap in the outfield for Christian Yelich that we keep trying to open up? That's the only reason why I can think we're even thinking about moving Sal Frelick to third. He might be athletic. I'm not going to say he's not. But why are we teaching Sal Frelick a new position when you have the likes of Tyler Black and Brock Wilken and Mike Bovey, if you really want to look years down the road, of potential guys coming up? When you have three guys who play the third base position on the rise, you also have the likes of Joey Ortiz coming up through the minor league system. Probably, maybe going to break camp already with the team this year. That's his spot at third. I don't get it. I really don't. Yes, it's great to have utility players, guys who can play all over the place. I get that. But it's like everything we do at times is to try and keep Christian Yelich in the game and in the outfield. Try and open up a hole for him. Stop opening up the hole for the guy. That's all I got to say. I like it. I like the ability that he gives us at times in the lineup. But I don't think he has any more tools in his tool bag than the likes of Sal Frelick, than Garrett Mitchell does. I really don't. I don't. Not anymore, because I don't think Christian Yelich has got the pop he used to. So now you narrow that down. Speed-wise, Garrett Mitchell, Sal Frelick. Defense, Garrett Mitchell, Sal Frelick. Contact, bat-to-ball skills, I give it to Sal. So what does Yelich have over any of them at this point? I don't know. Experience. That's about it. Experience. That is it. But sometimes it's better to be young, dumb, and stupid than it is to be experienced. Look at the Arizona Diamondbacks last year. Yeah, they had some older guys, but that team was young, dumb, and stupid. They didn't know that they weren't the best team in the NL when they went all the way to the World Series. They didn't know it. Yet they made it there. How? It wasn't off of experience. Corbin Carroll did not hit better than most of that team by being inexperienced. Or by being experienced. That team was built off of a bunch of young studs who could move it around and put bat on ball. Brewers' biggest problem over the years, the ability to put the bat on the baseball. Where does that come from over the past couple of years? The big bats in the lineup. Yelich, Adames, was Rowdy Tellez. A lot of your big bats couldn't put the bat on the baseball. These rookies can. I don't want to see one of their talents and playing time get affected because we're waiting on the MVP to come back. I'm not saying it won't. I'm not saying he won't play well. I'm not trying to say that they have to just immediately go into the first game of the year and bench him right then and there. What I'm saying is that if we run into a slump, you can afford to give him a couple days off and can afford to put somebody else out there in the field at this point and not lose a step. That's the great thing. And that's the thing that I hope the Brewers will do. It sounds like Pat Murphy's more about that life. So I think that's great. I think that's fantastic. And I hope he sticks with that mentality that the best guys are going to play. Doesn't matter who you are, what you do, the best guys are going to play. And that's what we love to see if we are Brewer fans. So just taking a look around the league now, just jumping off the Brewers. I know we got deep into the Brewers there. And I'd love to hear what you guys think about the outfield situation with the Brewers and what they should do here in this next season. I mean, if I'm right, if I'm far off, what you guys think. So looking at yesterday's slate for the MLB, Tigers took the loss to the Orioles there. Nationals beat the Astros. Cardinals tied with the Red Sox there. Tigers beat the Blue Jays. Phillies and Twins tied 13-4. The Pirates beat the Braves. Yankees lost to the Rays 4-2. Mets beat the Marlins. Cubs and Reds. Now, I believe when I looked at this game, I believe it was a no-hitter at one point between the Cardinals and Reds, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it was like a no-hitter at one point, and all of a sudden, it was a no-hitter. The Reds had a hit, or had given up a hit through like 6 or something like, or the Cubs had given up a hit to the Reds through 6. And this game ended 6-6. So a lot of scoring late in this ball game. Royals beat the Rockies 4-3. 11-2, the A's beat the Guardians. Giants and Mariners tied at 10. Dodgers beat the White Sox 9-6. Padres beat the Royals 6-3. And the Rangers beat the D-backs 10-3 there. So a lot of interesting stuff there in Major League Baseball yesterday. But like I said, Brewers will be back in action coming up today here against the Cubs. That'll be a 2:10 start from American Family Fields of Phoenix. But with that, I got to get to a couple of our sponsors quick before we move on here. First, your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty. Call Peggy, Sue, or Anna to find your dream home, or if you're looking to sell, find them on Facebook at your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty, or stop in and see them at their location in Marshfield. Also, a sports scene, sports cards and memorabilia in Marshfield. Check them out. Check out Al. He's got everything from sports cards, memorabilia, plaques. He's got sports jerseys, everything you can think of as a sports enthusiast. Check him out there at Sports Scene in the Marshfield Mall. Also, Pittsville Farm and Home Center. At the store, they serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. Stop in and see the awesome crew at Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville. We got it. I didn't want to get to it. I was prolonging the Brewer talk, so I didn't think I'd have to get to it, but here we are. We made it to the Badgers. We had to get there. And, well, the Badgers lost 74-70. And the Badgers really were never in control of this game. Yes, they took the lead late. They did. But that was it. They couldn't stop Indiana. Indiana, all night long, had their number in the pick and roll. We've talked about it for weeks now. What's wrong with Wisconsin? Tell me. What is wrong with the Badgers? Well, I'm going to look at this game and just give you a little shot in the dark here. Indiana shot the basketball well. I can't say they didn't. I can't say Indiana did not shoot the basketball well. 61% from the floor in this game for Indiana. 42% from downtown in this game. You want to know how you lose a basketball game? You allow another team to shoot 61% from the floor. That's how you lose a basketball game. Yes, Indiana, at points in this game, hit some shots that, well, Indiana hasn't been hitting all season long. I will give anybody who wants to make that argument, I'll give them that. If they want to say that the reffing was terrible in this game, I'll tell you what, it was terrible both ways. This game was reffed terribly in this game. How is Indiana at 4 fouls here late in the second half? 2 answers to that one. 2 answers to that question there. One, Wisconsin got scared of the post. Why? Because Kalal Ware was standing in there with 6 blocks on the night, and nobody, and I mean nobody, wanted to go back. The guy had at least 10 altered shots on this game. That late one by Tyler Wall was just, it was a frosting on the cake. It was like, that's our night. That's our night right there, is trying to shoot over that guy. I get it. But at the same time, there's ways that you could have avoided that. Stephen Crowell, for the first time in months, played a majority of this game in the paint. I like that on a normal circumstance. But if you're not going to use Stephen Crowell, get him out of there. Dig him out of the paint and open up the lane for somebody else. And then if Ware does decide to drop, Stephen Crowell can shoot the 3. Now, is he the greatest three-point shooter? No. No, he's not. But make Ware step out on Crowell, then utilize the paint. How many times did we have to watch the Badgers drive inside and just get completely denied by Ware? I mean, early on, it was AJ Storrs. It felt like it was his game to go inside there and try and get blocked because he was taking some low percentage shots, trying to shoot around Ware, through Ware, over Ware. That's a guy you don't shoot over. He's a 7-footer with an even longer wingspan. This guy is a mammoth of a human being. That was bad. Let's just say bad. Bad performance all the way around. You shot 26 threes in this game. 26. You made 8 of them. I will say the Badgers shot 8 for 26 from downtown. Sounds okay when you put it into percentage, 30% from the 3-point line, but you made it to the free throw line 3 times. 3 times in this game. Tyler Wall went there for a one. He went 1 for 2. Chucky Hepburn made it there on an and 1. That was it. That was all. That's all you can muster up in a game where Indiana was playing scrappy, and I'm gonna venture to guess you went to the paint enough. You could have gotten a guy like Ware into foul trouble. Steven Crowell shot 9 shots in this game. He was 5 for 9 from the floor. So, yeah, playing against Ware was tough. It's tough it's going to be tough for anybody. The only guy who could bang bodies with Ware would be probably in the Big Ten, the likes of Zach Edey. That's about comparisons right there. Now, Ware played on a different level. This is a guy we didn't see first game out when we played Indiana, when the Badgers dropped like 91. But 3-pointers were falling in that game. Ware goes for 27 in this game against the Badgers. 1 for 1 from downtown, 11 for 12 from the floor in this game. 4 for 4 from the free throw line. I mean, there isn't much else to say than what was the game plan heading into this? What was it? I mean, was it to control Ware in the post? Was it to kind of try and control the rest of the cast of characters and just let Ware go and let him beat us, but don't let anybody else? Late in this one, understanding where you're at on a basketball court, Trey Galloway has the basketball. Late in this one, they're down by 2, the Badgers are, 35 seconds on the clock. Trey Galloway has the basketball. He's coming up. Trey Galloway is about a 50-some% free throw shooter on the year. Let's not follow Galloway. Let's let him get it to Cups. Cups, also a bad free throw shooter. Instead of following Cups, we let him get it to the one guy on this entire basketball team for Indiana, outside of Ware, because Ware went 4 for 4 on the night there. We let them get it to the one guy who can actually shoot free throws. And that is Macbeth, or Mabako, whatever you want to call him, Mabako. Mackenzie Mabako, 80% free throw shooter. This team for Indiana is a terrible free throw shooting team. But the Badgers, late in this one, execution, terrible. The inbounds play. I don't know how many more times I can watch the Badgers inbound a basketball on the side, because I knew what was coming before it happened. It used to be Chucky Hepburn got the basketball, stood out on top of the key, waited until late in the shot clock, got the ball screen, then chucked it up. That's how it used to be. Now, it's simple. Tyler Wall gets the inbounds pass from AJ Storr. It's happened twice or 3 times now. Wall gets the inbounds pass from Storr. Storr then comes and gets the handoff from Tyler Wall and tries to beat his man around the corner. Wasn't there. Okay, well, that happened. Nothing we can do about that. I mean, execution, defensively, ball screens, the simplest of things, right? It's a simple basketball move, the ball screen. Ware and Galloway ate the Badgers alive in the pick and roll. And Galloway only had 6 points in this game. 12 assists, though. That's the difference. 12 assists from Galloway in this game here. I don't want to say that the pick and roll was the only problem, because the Badgers left a lot of guys open for a lot of shots in this game here. But Indiana didn't have to beat Wisconsin from the 3-point line here. 6 for 14. 29 for 47 from the floor in this game. 29 for 47 from the floor. The Badgers shot a ridiculous amount more shots than what Indiana put up here. 22 more shots than what Indiana put up. And you lose by 4. You lose this game by 4. You come out of this game if you are Wisconsin. You're now 18-10. You're 10-7 in conference play. You're now tied with Nebraska on that. You're on that 4 line already, and now you're tied in there to drop out of the top 4 to have to play on the second day of the Big Ten tournament. Something you want to avoid if you are Wisconsin. You don't want to play any of these Big Ten teams on the second day. As of right now, the Badgers are sucking on the road, so you don't want to play anybody away from the Kohl Center. What does it take to get right in this game? What in this season? What does it take? What is it going to take for Wisconsin to turn this thing around? To the team we saw early on this season to see a glimmer of that. Now, we're seeing the offense, 70 points. You put up 70 points. I'm not saying that Indiana's a fantastic defensive team, but you put up 70 points while shooting terribly in this game. 70 points. So where's the silver lining? Where's the differences for Wisconsin right now? The defensive end for the Badgers. Undisciplined. I mean, that's all that it is. It's discipline. It's understanding your assignments. And when you go to help, you can go to help, but you can't have all 5 guys crash. A guy drives to the basket. All 5 guys crash. Who's open now? Everybody. We work on it in the past, right? High school, you worked on it. We called it the shell drill. It was real simple. You had 4 guys, 5 guys out there at times in your shell drill. You worked on being in the right spots defensively. The Badgers are in the wrong spots, it seems like, every play. AJ Storr gets cooked. The Badgers guards, they have some of the better defending guards in the Big Ten, if you ask me. If you really think about it, Max Klesmit's a solid defender. Chucky Hepburn's a solid defender. Yet, the pick and roll is our worst nightmare. We don't know how to defend it. And what does that go back to? That's the real question I want to ask everybody is what does that go back to? Is it just the players? Are you going to blame this completely on the players? Are you going to blame all these losses on these players? Because if you're not going to blame any of this, if you're not going to question Greg Gard as a head coach, then everything that we have seen Greg Gard develop over the last 3 to 4 years at Madison, and that is, well, I shouldn't say 3 to 4 years, 2 to 3 years. We'll say 2 to 3 years because a lot of these guys are juniors. So everything that Greg Gard has developed over the last 2 to 3 years has been just terrible. You're telling me these guys have just gotten worse than what we've seen in the past? Because defensively, this team has gotten worse. If you can realistically tell me from last year to this year, this team has gotten defensively better, you're ridiculous. You're nuts. I'm not saying that you have to agree that Greg Gard needs to be fired. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you have to agree with that. What I am saying, though, is at the end of the day, you have to look at this team and ask yourself, is this team actually able to compete for anything? Because if you ask me, at this point in these guys' college career, you're looking at a junior in Stephen Crowley, junior in Max Klesmit, Chucky Hepburn, a sophomore in AJ Storr, and a 6th-year senior in Tyler Wall. You also have guys coming off the bench there with Gilmore, who is his junior, senior, whatever Gilmore is. I forget about Gilmore. But you have some freshmen. I'm not going to say you don't have some freshmen. But you have one of the more experienced starting 5s and teams in the Big Ten, in the country. If this is as good as they could have been, if this is it, if this is the top, right? At this point in these guys' playing careers, barring that they go on to play in the G League or the NBA, I'm not saying any of these guys are going to the NBA, or I'm not predicting their futures for them. But what I'm saying is, if this is the top of the hill, right? We've finally reached it. This is their peaks. What has recruiting been for the last 3 to 4 years? Because if this is the This is the top. This is as far as these guys can go development wise. We just wasted 2 to 3 years. We wasted it because we could have brought in more transfers. We could have put more of these guys on the bench. We could be starting more freshmen. We could have recruited heavier. We could have told Tyler Wall to stay away. What is the silver lining for you people? That's what I want to know. Every person out there who argues and tells me that Greg Gard is this phenomenal coach, that there's nothing wrong with the Badgers, I want to ask you that question. Have these players realistically gotten better from the moment they stepped on the court at Madison? Has their game gone to another level? I'm not talking about size. Yes, when Tyler Wall got a little bit bigger, his post game got a little bit better, right? His moves in the post are better. But what's one thing that Tyler Wall that he has never been able to do that we just wish he was able to do? Step out and hit a jump shot. That's the one thing I wish Tyler Wall could do. Steven Crowell, from the moment he stepped on the court in Madison, what could this guy do? We knew he could shoot the three. He's a big guy. We knew he had a hook shot. Other than that, I mean, this Indiana game was the first time I've seen that guy lay a spin move on anybody in a long time. And it was like the slowest spin move I've ever seen. But heck, he pulled something out of the arsenal. But Steven Crowell. Chucky Hepburn. As of late, Chucky Hepburn's been stepping up. But this guy has not gotten truthfully, at this point, I wanted to see this team, when you put it all together, I truthfully believe if you still had Bo Ryan in the room, this team is top of the Big Ten right now. We aren't even having this conversation because he developed these guys. He developed the exact same player in Steven Crowell as he did it in Frank Kaminsky. I'm not saying that Steven Crowell is Frank Kaminsky 2.0. I'm not saying that. But the tools in the toolbox were exactly the same. The guy could shoot it from three. The guy had the height. He just had to get the size. Then you developed his game. Nothing. Tyler Wall. The first thing you would have said when that guy stepped on campus was, if I want to expand his game, I'm going to move him out a step. I'm going to give him the ability to hit a 10-footer. I'm not talking about a 28-foot jump shot. I'm not talking about banging it from downtown. I'm talking about a Tyler Wall that could hit it from 10 feet, that could pull a jump shot consistently. The only guy for the Badgers that can shoot a jump shot consistently at time, I shouldn't even say consistently because he doesn't shoot it consistently either, is AJ Storr. Storr can create the shot. I don't think he's got the finishing ability yet. But it worries me. It does, because of the likes of Blackwell and Nolan Winter. Are those guys going to develop in Madison, or are we going to see them come into the starting role and turn out in their junior seasons to this crap? To the crap we've been seeing? End of the day, this Badger team's in trouble. They are. If you can't see it, if you can't see from the outside looking in that this Badger team is in trouble, you're nuts. If you can't see that the head guy, the guy in charge of this team, can't figure it out, you're nuts. That's all I got to say. I mean, I'm a little nuts too. Everybody's a little nuts at times about sports, but you got to look at the silver linings here. Player development. I can't even imagine what I want to be in a huddle one time when Greg Gard draws up a play coming out of a timeout, because I just want to look at him dead in the eyes and just say, what is this? What are we doing? Play calling. Who does that fall on? Are you going to blame that on the players because you want to take the heat off of Greg Gard? Are you going to blame that on the players again? Everything, it seems like everybody who doesn't want to blame Greg Gard is going to blame it on the players. Well, Greg Gard didn't miss all those shots. Yeah, he did. Greg Gard also didn't tell the Badgers to shoot 26 three-pointers in this game. Do you think any coach in their right mind wants their team to shoot 26 three-pointers in a game? There's a reason why they're open. There's a reason why teams leave the Badgers open. This team can't shoot consistently. That's the problem. You allow this team to shoot because they can't consistently shoot. And when they do, they will respect you for that game. They're making the Badgers attempt to earn it. That's it. They want to see the Badgers earn it, and the Badgers have struggled to make teams defend because they don't have to. Why would you have to? Why do you got to step out on Chucky Hepburn out there on the three-point line? You might get a hand in his face late, but you're not worried about him. There's only one guy. When he steps on the basketball floor, they don't let him get open unless if he's 15 feet deep. That's Connor Essegian. That is. That's, truth be told, the only guy that nobody allows to get open is Connor Essegian. The other guys, they guard him. I'm not saying they don't guard, and they don't guard him. They don't defend him hard, but they're not as worried. There's a lot of things that got to be fixed in Madison, but I am just at the point, I don't know. This Badger team, you have a date with Illinois coming up next year. And then you're going to get Rutgers. Final game of the Big Ten slate's on the road at Purdue. Then you're going to have the Big Ten tournament. We'll see how that goes. And then, realistically, you're going to make the tournament. Unless if you drop these next 3 games and also lose the first game of the Big Ten tournament, or the Big Ten tournament, now you're putting yourself in a sketchy area of an 8-9 seed, a 7-8-9 seed, I would imagine. I don't know. Something's got to change, and it's got to happen fast. Otherwise, as we've seen with Chris McIntosh, he doesn't really give many craps if he gets rid of a coach. He doesn't. He'll find somebody. Is Greg Gard the next guy in the hot seat? That's a question. That's the biggest question coming out of this Indiana game is, how do you view Greg Gard's coaching position as of now? So with that, that's about all I got for today. We ran long with Badger talk, but sometimes you just gotta rant about it a little bit, right? That's what we're here for. We gotta rant. We gotta talk about it a little bit, but we're gonna get into more tomorrow here. Like I said, Brewers will be in action today. They're gonna be taking on the Cubs there from American Family Fields of Phoenix. It'll be a 2:10 start. That will be on Bally Sports. So great things to come here. We'll be back tomorrow here to cover everything Wisconsin sports. But with that, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you guys back here tomorrow. But until then, deuces.